Hi, Happy Hippos. Have you ever looked outside in the summer at nighttime and seen little lights flashing in the field? You were probably seeing fireflies. On a summer evening, I looked up from dinner through the open window to the backyard. It was growing dark. My treehouse was a black shape in the tree, and I wouldn't go up there now. But something flickered there a moment. I looked, and it was gone. It flickered again, over near the fence. Fireflies! Don't let your dinner get cold, said Mama. I forked the meat and corn and potatoes into my mouth. Please, may I go out? The fireflies! Mama smiled and Daddy nodded. Go ahead, they said. I ran from the table down to the cellar to find a jar. I knew where to look, behind the stairs. What do you think he needs a jar for? He's going to go out and look at the fireflies. Why does he need a jar? The jars were dusty, and I polished one clean on my shirt. Then I ran back up 2 steps at a time. Holes, I remembered, so they can breathe. And as quietly as I could, so she wouldn't catch me dulling them, I poked holes in the top of the jar with Mama's scissors. He said, so they can breathe. Who's they? He's going to put something in the jar that needs to breathe? What is he up to? The screen door banged behind me as I ran from the house. If someone said, don't slam it, I wasn't listening. I called to my friends in the street, fireflies! But they had come before me with polished jars, and others were coming behind. Maybe all the children are chasing the fireflies with their jars. Do they want to put the fireflies in the jars? Maybe. The sky was darker now. My ears rang with crickets, and my eyes stung from staring too long. I blinked hard as I watched them. Fireflies blinking on, blinking off, dipping low, soaring high above my head, making white patterns in the dark. We ran like crazy, barefoot in the grass. Catch them, we cried, grasping at the lights. Oh, they are trying to catch the fireflies in the jar. When the fireflies are in the jar, they'll probably look really pretty lighting up. Suddenly, a voice called out above the others, I caught one! And it was my own. I thrust my hand into the jar and spread it open. The jar glowed like moonlight, and I held it in my hands. I felt a tremble of joy and shouted, I can catch hundreds. So the little boy caught the firefly in his hand, and then he put his hand in the jar, opened his hand so the firefly would come out, and then he took his hand out. And I see he put the lid back on the jar so the firefly couldn't fly away. Then we dashed about, waving our hands in the air like nets, catching 2, 10, hundreds of fireflies, thrusting them into jars, waving our hands for more. I don't think I've ever caught fireflies to put in a jar, but I have tried to catch them in my hand. And then I open it and I see the firefly with its flashing light, and then it flies away. Then someone called from my house, it's time to come in now. And others called from other houses, and it was over. My friends took jars of fireflies to different homes. I climbed the stairs to my room and set the jar on a table by my bed. Mama kissed me and turned out the light. I caught hundreds, I said. Daddy called from the hallway. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile, I called back. I caught hundreds of fireflies. Wow, he's really excited about how many fireflies he has. He's telling his whole family. In the dark, I watched the fireflies from my bed. They blinked off and on, and the jar glowed like moonlight. But it was not the same. The fireflies beat their wings against the glass and fell to the bottom. Maybe they don't look as exciting in the glass jar as they do in the field. Maybe because the fireflies would rather be in the field. The light in the jar turned yellow, like a flashlight left on too long. I tried to swallow, but something in my throat would not go down. The light grew dimmer, like moonlight underwater. Uh-oh. What's happening to the fireflies? I don't think they liked being in that jar. I shut my eyes tight and put the pillow over my head. They were my fireflies. I caught them. They made moonlight in my jar. But the jar was nearly dark. I flung off the covers. I went to the window, opened the jar, and aimed it at the stars. Fly! Then the jar began to glow. Green, then gold, then white as the moon, and the fireflies poured out into the night. Fireflies, blinking on, blinking off, dipping low, soaring high above my head, making circles around the moon like stars dancing. Seems like the fireflies were happy again, happy to be outside and out of that jar where they couldn't really fly around so well. I held the jar, dark and empty, in my hands. The moonlight and the fireflies swam in my tears, but I could feel myself smiling. So he's feeling kind of sad, but kind of happy at the same time. Why do you think? Well, maybe he's sad because he knew he had to let the fireflies go. But he felt happy because now he knew the fireflies would be happy too. See you later, hippos.